Hi, this is Bob with Million Mile Garage. Today we're going to be doing a 100,000 mile tune-up on our 2002 Nissan Maxima. And what that's going to involve is pulling the upper intake manifold, which means we're going to need a set of upper intake manifold gaskets. We're pulling the upper intake manifold mainly to replace the leaky rocker cover gaskets. It's really leaving puddles in the driveway. We're going to use Felpro Permadries. And while we got the upper intake off, since we can get to the rear bank then, we're going to go ahead and put in a fresh set of NGK iridium spark plugs. And to make sure they fire reliably for the next 100,000 miles, we're going to put on a fresh set of insulators. All right, let's get started. We just have to take this plastic cladding off. $12mm to take off this vacuum canister bracket. This is also looks like some sort of vacuum deal. Electro vacuum, electromechanical. Oh, I love when that happens. All right, get one more here. Oh yeah. Okay, got those off. Just coming in here, I'm going to take the throttle body connector off. Got that off. It's got a release tab right there. It's just really hard to push. I went ahead and I got a 12mm wrench here. We're going to go ahead and get this bracket loose. Yep, should just come right off. Okay, get all bracketry out of the way. Okay, I think we're going to move on to taking the loosening up the air box. Okay, I went ahead and undid all these fasteners and also loosened up the band clamp on the accordion closest to the throttle body. And I'm just coming in here with a magnet and taking out this one screw that's hard to get to that holds this box in. And I do have a one other thing I wanted to undo here. I think I'll try to undo it on the valve cover end. I'm just going to release a clamp. And without too much drama, just pull this out of the way without tearing the accordion. Looks like it's going to come right off. There we go. Hey, just showing y'all real quick what I'm going to be doing down in here. There's two connectors here that I'm going to undo, and it's really hard to see. There's a bracket right here. I got my finger on it, and there's what I think is a 10mm screw holding that on down there. It's really easier just to undo these connectors first. And again, there's a little thing you press right here, and I've already got them undone, but you just press this, they come up. You get those out of the way. There's where you depress right there, and that's supposed to release the tab right in there. I don't know if you can see that move or not, but that's how those get undone. And then of course there's just some assorted hoses in here. These are all to be vacuum hoses. I think that's a vacuum hose, and I'm probably going to undo them. There's one right in here. Right there I'm going to undo, and I'm going to undo that one right there with those curved tip long nose pliers. They seem to work really well for that. Okay, there's the little 10mm bolt that's hiding back there, and I just got to get this ratchet over it. I've already cracked it loose. I'm just showing you where you got to go to get it and then work it out. And then there is one other, I don't know how well the phone will show it. There's a bracket hiding back here, right there. And that might take a 10 as well. It looks like it might take the larger one. That might be a 12 or a 13. And I have to undo that bracket as well. And I've got a 12mm wrench attached to that rear bracket bolt right there. And I'm going to attempt to crack it loose just like that. And I'm wearing a glove for this one. And there it is. It's just a little fella. I went ahead and undid this. There's just one bolt holding it on and another clamp. I'm just going to take the silencer off so that I've got room to maneuver in here, and then when I want to roll this thing over. Yep, seems to work just fine. It's a little tight. All right, let's get the last fastener out. And there we go. Wow, that works really good. That's amazing. Okay, and I'm just going to crack this connector loose too, so this has got plenty of room to pivot and get out of the way. That should be fine. Okay, the coolant hose is right below this vacuum tube right here, and I'm going to leave that connected, and hopefully that won't hurt anything. I'm tempted to disconnect it. It's not really a huge deal, but I'll probably just leave it connected. The idea is just I'm just going to just roll this plenum over and lay it on top of this stuff. It shouldn't hurt anything. I'm just coming in with a huge breaker bar just to crack stuff loose, and that's a 12 millimeter with an extension. And I'm just going to start on this end, and I'm going to start cracking these loose. Okay, these are coming loose nicely. Yep, there we go. All right, let's see if it's going to lift up at least now. Let's see what else I got attached to it. Hopefully nothing. It's catching on this other nut over here. Actually catching on this wiring harness too. Pull that up out of the way. A piece of hose, whatever that is. There we go. Okay, so that lifts up and out of the way. We can kind of just, hope we can just set it like that. It'll go like that. Hopefully it doesn't go timber. I can get these rockers off now. As you can see, there's a lot of peripherals here over these rockers. This front one, you've got a lot of connectors here that have to be disconnected. Of course, all the coil packs have to come out as well. So we'll get to work on that as well. And I'm going to show you a neat trick for getting these harness loom fasteners loose. I've got a small socket. I think this one's like a 5 millimeter. And I'm just going to take it and compress the tabs like so. And that's going to allow me to push the harness out without breaking it. See how nice that works? And I'll go and do that on the other side. Anywhere I have one of those, I tend to use those. Hey, just showing you here. I got everything undone. Put the fasteners back in their holes so we don't lose those. So now this can move all out of the way. Now I've got access to get to all the fasteners, and that's all. And this connector over here, I was able to just fold it out of the way. I didn't have to disconnect it. All I gotta do is just take the coil packs out, undo the fasteners, and this rocker is off the car. All right, just coming in. We're gonna start pulling the coil packs out. Okay, just coming in, we're going to start breaking all the fasteners loose to hold the rocker on. Oh, that one's really tight for some reason. Jeez. Take the easy way out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, let's see how this bad boy comes off. I know I got this hose here that's still connected. I'm going to try to take that hose with me from that side if it'll let me. Let's see if I can just crack this loose. Okay, that's got it. Now let's see if I can kind of take this hose with it. There we go. Let's see if I can get this out without breaking it. Okay. So, again, not a fan of RTV. I'm just going to take I kind of pulled this off an old kitchen sponge. It's kind of like a Brillo pad that's not too aggressive. And I'm just going to just come along and this nasty old RTV, this will just polish that stuff right off. And this gasket is rock hard. Look at that. Maybe I can just pull the gasket out. That gasket, I mean, it is set up like, it's so hard you wouldn't believe it. I'm afraid I'm going to break the plastic cover getting it out. Oh my goodness. Ooh. Ooh, what a mess. Oh, that's going to be a mess. I think this one was on that for a while. Just completely gone away. Rock hard. That was rubber at one time. Look at that. That thing was just, I mean, just baked out. Nothing left of it. Okay, we're just going to very carefully cut this open. Hey, just as a sanity check, I don't see perma-dry anywhere on that, and I could have swore it said it on the website. So, not sure those are perma-dry. It doesn't say it on there. And I can't get the gasket to stay in place. It's going to keep falling out, so I'm going to have to glue it in. There's just no getting around it. So I'm going to take some Ultra Black and put it on. It's just oil resistant gasket maker. I just need it to hold the gasket in place. I don't think it's a huge deal, but I'm just going to come in and I'm going to throw a bead of it all the way around. I want the gasket to stay in place. And you know, it seems like the gasket fits a little loose. I would think that a gasket that didn't require a sealer would kind of more like snap into place, or be held in by the friction of it being compressed into the groove of the seal on the rocker cover. So I'm just going to come in, just put a bead of sealer around it. And that's really just to get it to stay in place. When I glue it down. Yep, that's going in okay-ish. That's going to stay on and not fall off. Okay. And hopefully I don't have any big blobs of sealer come off inside the rocker when I compress this. Kind of trying to avoid that. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm probably going to go ahead and just put a dab of sealer in the corners where these things go. Since I'm gluing these down anyway, I'll put a little dab down in the corners. I wipe the rails down with some lacquer thinner, so they are oil-free, grit-free, scrunch-free. I just want to make sure I don't have any places where I'm going to have a leak problem. So I'm just putting a little pea-sized blob. Get out of the way, dipstick. Just going to put a pea-sized blob down in there as well. There we go. Just like that. That looks good. I don't think I need it anywhere else. I went ahead and smeared a little bit of sealer all the way around it. Since it's not a perma-dry gasket, it doesn't hurt to be on the safe side. So make sure I got a little bit more on here. There we go. All right, let's give it a shot. I'm going to come in here first, trying not to make a mess. So I keep hitting stuff already. It's always a balancing act. Okay. Okay, and as I go down here, I'm going to try to line this pipe up over here because it's rock hard as well. Okay, I'm getting it started. Okay, looks like I'm catching a sensor over here. Looks like I'm still okay. Knocked anything out yet. Okay, still gonna get this pipe to go on. Okay, that's started. Okay. Let's see how I'm doing. Hitting the radiator hose. Okay. Bring it up. Okay. For whatever reason, it's decided to just catch on every single thing it can. Shocking, right? There we go. Okay. All right, but it is still not clearing. It's catching on something. What are we catching on? We're catching on something. Oh, I've got a connector in the way for some reason. I'm gonna have to come up. Oh my goodness, really? Okay, we gotta come over this way. There we go. Okay. It's gotta line up with the spark plug tube holes. Alright, just gonna go in and start running them down. Probably gotta start in the center. I know there's probably a torque sequence, but I'm just kind of trying to spread the load out best I can. Main thing you want to do is you want to make sure you bring it down evenly as you go. Okay, that went down. All right. They're going down. These already kind of bottomed out. I don't think it takes a whole lot of torque on these. You're basically just torquing down a plastic rocker cover. You basically just want these tight enough so they don't back out. Basically fully compressing it. You can feel them bottom out. So don't have to get real crazy with the torque on this. You know, I'm thinking probably 5 or 6 foot-pounds of torque is probably plenty. So, yeah, just coming down here and looking. I don't see any gasket hanging out where it shouldn't be. I didn't break any of the spark plug tube seals, although I wish I could have got new ones. That kind of pisses me off that they don't offer that. It's kind of silly. Just looking down in here, you can see where the gasket sealer's smeared out. Got a nice even smoosh coming out there. I don't see any gasket poking out where it shouldn't be. Just coming all the way around. Trying to get a good shot of the rocker cover. Easier said than done. Yep, all that looks good. I think that pulled up nice. That looks real good. It looks like the rear rocker was actually sealing pretty well. You can see there's not any oil running down on top of the heat shield. Everything looks pretty clean actually. And you can see how well the RTV stayed stuck to the cylinder head, so that's going to be fun to clean that off. Yeah, I'm not going to waste a lot of time showing you guys this, but just showing how nicely this one came out as one piece. And it's still very flexible. You can't break this one. This one is still almost like new. So evidently that, that other side, I guess just getting blasted with the hot air from the radiator and the exhaust manifold, that must make a lot of difference. Okay, I flushed that out with carb cleaner, and that looks pretty oil free. You can see that nasty crack right to the left. Right in there. You see right there. Right there. I'm going to lay a bead of that black Permatex, that Ultra. Supposed to be oil resistant, which I guess means it doesn't have to be perfectly clean. I came in here and stuffed around the tubes with some more of that Permatex Black Ultra sealer. I hit every one of these. And again, I'm not trying to completely seal the tube, you know, up to the top of the rocker cover hole or spark plug hole, but just around where the metal tube protruded through that rubber grommet. You can see I completely covered the crack and then brought it just about level with the metal tube. And I did that on the rear as well. So you can see there's a little bit of a gap, but you see I've got all of the metal covered and it's laid on top of the rubber grommet on each one of those. And I'm hoping that will kind of squelch a little bit of the weep that was getting by those dried out grommets. Okay, we're going to be installing NGK iridiums, and the part number is LFR5AIX-11, and I think the stock code is 4469. The manual calls for 44 thousandths, and there's my 44 thousandths gauge, 44 right there. Okay, and it's just, it drags through. That's okay, that's not bad. Let's check another one. Let's see if all of them come out that good out of the box. That one's a little tight. I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to grab this strap and just fold it up just a tad. Doesn't take much. There's my 44. And it's still a little tight. I'm being very careful because I don't want to damage that iridium wafer that's on the end there. I know they're probably a little fragile. And it's still a little tight. Tell you what, this strap is really, really strong. There we go. It felt like it moved a little. Yep. This spark plug gapper, this metal that's on it is not super strong. Let's see if I can get it to go up just a tad. Grab it a little closer to the top. There we go. It just drags through. All right, I'm going to say that was close enough. I didn't move that very much. I'm going to say those are probably good enough out of the box. So you can just do this. Yep, good. Okay, with both rockers glued in place, I'm going to start removing the old spark plugs. Oh yeah, I forgot my little rubber insert is long gone out of this old Craftsman socket. All right, there's the old one. It doesn't look too bad. Looks a little oily. Looks like maybe those spark plug tubes weren't sealing so good, huh? Since I don't have a good rubber insert for the socket, I'm just going to use a piece of rubber tubing to get the plug started down in the hole. Wow, those are some really long threads. There we go. That one started. We'll just torque it down. And these, I believe these do have a gasket on them, so I'm going to give them like a about a quarter turn after snug. So I crush the gasket. That's about right. I'm sure they give you foot-pounds on these, but I'm say threading into aluminum, you don't want to be too aggressive with it. Tell you what, those are coming out hard because they've been in there a long time. This one's feeling like it wants to gall a little. Ooh, that one's tight. I'm going to have to squirt a little bit of WD-40 down in there or something. I'm afraid I'm going to strip the threads out on that center plug. So we'll just squirt some WD-40 in the hole. We'll just let that soak down in there. We'll just preserve on that for a little bit. We'll get that other one out. I had that same problem happen on the 2000 Mustang. That thing, I don't know if y'all saw that video or not. That thing had 150,000 miles on the original plugs. Now it was that a 2-valve? I think that was a 2-valve motor because it was a 2000 4.6 GT. So I don't think they had the problem with the spark plugs breaking off in the cylinder head. I think like the 3-valve jobs did, but nonetheless, some of them were in there pretty tight, and just spraying a little bit of WD-40 in there and walking away for a little bit and just kind of wiggling them back and forth would get them out. This one came out no problem. Easy. Oh, that's weird. Ooh boy. The center one on this side is also tight. Oh boy. Okay, that one's not too bad. The center one. Oh yeah, boy, that's really tight too. It just feels like it wants to gall and have a problem. We'll just let that soak in. I know it's probably not even been 5 minutes, but I'm just going to test on this one. I'll try moving it back in a little bit first. Oh boy. Oh, there we go. Okay. I guess that's all it took, I hope. Yep, that should come right out. Nope, still haven't loosened up enough. Okay. Feels like it's got it now. Okay, that one came out okay as well. Doesn't look like I took any cylinder head with it. That's a good thing. I'll get that one down there. Oh, that's already got it. Okay. We'll just troll that one in. All right. Okay, that's got it. Okay, the reason I'm going to replace the spark plug insulators, or lightning straws as I call them, is about 2 years ago I stepped down in the car hard at lunchtime to get around some traffic, and the car immediately lost one cylinder and started misfiring. And I had to limp home about 20 miles from work that evening, and then I plugged in the trouble code reader and it told me I had a cylinder misfire. I think it was actually nice enough to tell me which cylinder misfired. So I went out to Advance Auto and just bought a DriveWorks, which that's what this was. I bought the whole coil pack assembly, not knowing that much about them at the time. And the reason I had to do that was the original lightning straw, which it looks like this when it's on. Of course, there's the I guess the resistor, and then there's the spring part that goes into the spark plug. But anyway, when I pulled this off and I removed this boot and started examining, and of course I've wiped it all off by now, but there was a bunch of white powder residue around this area right here, and I'll pull it in a little bit so you can see it better. Right there. And that's where it's actually burned away. And what had happened is on this mold parting line, and all of these lightning straws have one because they're plastic, it cracked on this end, on the coil end, and that spark energy actually found its way along that crack and found another flaw right there and jumped out where the boot stops. It doesn't meet all the way down. There's a gap. You see that gap? And immediately what happens is all that spark energy was jumping out the side and grounding out inside the metal spark plug tube in the cylinder head. And it caused a misfire every time. So I had to limp home on 5 cylinders. And I was about, I guess I was less than 20 miles from home. So not a huge deal. But again, you're washing that cylinder out with gasoline and you're not firing it. So it probably doesn't, it doesn't do that cylinder any good to do it any length of time. So I got lucky, and this was actually on the radiator side of the engine, so I didn't have to pull the upper intake. It was literally a 15-minute repair when I went to the auto parts store and got the part. But since I have the upper intake off, I know that with this plastic stuff, it's not a matter of when it's going to fail or if it's going to fail. It's really a matter of when. So just taking a look at one of these other ones that came out, I think this was one of the ones that came out of the rear this morning. Let's just pull one of these off and see what we got. Let's see if I can get this boot off as well. Okay, I don't see any pitting or burning. I'm looking for the mold parting line right there. I'm not doing a very good job holding that there, am I? Let me try that again. Look, see the mold parting line right there. And just coming up and just taking my finger, going around. Oh, there we go, right there. My eyes aren't the greatest. There is a mold parting line right there, I'm pretty sure. And look where it opened up. Right there, same spot. That's just a matter of time before that cracks enough along here and you're going to have the same problem. So it seems like to me it would be a pretty good investment to go ahead and buy a new set of spark plug insulators that they call them, and just change all of those out before I put it back together. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, we're down to the last one. All right, put that little in there. there we go. Just going to put a dab of dielectric grease in each one of the boots. And this is just going to, in case they have to be removed at a later time, it'll make it a little easier to get them off. After close inspection, it turns out that 5 of the original 6 spark plug insulator tubes have cracked. Here's the one that I removed a couple years ago, pointing out that's where it burned through. You can see where the crack started and then worked its way all the way down until it was able to sneak out around the rubber boot. You can see it's actually cracked on both sides. You can see this one has a rather large crack forming as well. This one also, pretty good sized large crack. You can see the edge there where it is cracked and it works its way all the way down. And you can see right here, if I point it out, it was actually starting to leak a little bit. This one over here, a little harder to see. There's a crack right there, just starting to form. This one over here, pretty noticeable crack as well. Doesn't look like it was leaking. And then the last one didn't have any visible cracks. So 1 out of the original 6 did not show any evidence of cracking. Reinstalling the coil packs with the new spark plug insulators. I just give them just a little bit of rotation as I go in, just to kind of smear that dielectric grease all over the tip of that spark plug. That'll make removal easier at some time in the future. We'll just put our 10mm screws back in and then snug them up. Okay, I've got a connector here. All right, then we're just going to push these back in. One there, one there. There's one here and here. This will nice to be able to reuse these and not have them be broken. That goes back just like it's supposed to. There's our vacuum hoses we'll need later. We'll keep this out of the way. While I have these out, I'm going to go ahead and remove these. Just making sure I got the orientation right here. I don't want to hose this. Attach back to the intake like this. There's that bracket that we took off earlier. You come right in here and depress that. And this bracket should come right off. There we go. I'm just panning in here. Take this fastener out. Set it right there so it doesn't get out of the way. Then we're just going to take our bracket. I just have to remember orientation. It's going to go like that. Just like that. And I'm going to stick the screw in. And that way I don't have to fiddle around with it when I lower it back into the car. Hey, just real quick before I lower it down, that's the bracket that I want to make sure that I get these ears on the correct side so that I can get this intake to line up properly. And then I'm going to go in and just put the 2 bolts in loosely once I have this intake setting on. Here's my Felpro Perma-Dry gasket, and it only goes on one way because you've got the intake bolts are only on one side on the front, and then you got one on each end. So I'm just going to just drop it in just like this. Just like that. Roll it over. Keep hanging up. Yep, okay. That's fine. I'll take that. Okay. That laid in place. Okay. All right. Putting our 3 center bolts in. Let's get those started. Acorn nuts, one on each end. All right, then I got to put the bracket bolts back in. Oh yeah, okay. Okay, got that one started. Okay, I'm going to cinch it down. I'm going to just kind of snug the center ones up a little bit first. Again, I know that this, this is not a high torque application here, so it's not like we're bolting a reciprocating assembly back together. You just have to be snug enough. You want to get a good crush the gasket down so you don't have any air leaks. But I can't imagine this is more than like 15 or 20 foot-pounds of torque here required to do this. These are really small fasteners. So I'm just coming in and just snugging them up real good. Grabbing each end, pulling it down. Yep. Yep, those are good and snug. And again, it's not going to take a lot to snug these down. I can feel those pull up. Yep. Those are plenty tight. Yep, that's good. That's not going to have any problems. Yep, we're good there. And I can tighten up the brackets on the back. I'm going to take the rib portion of the gasket and put it on this side. Then I'll put the smooth side against the intake manifold. And I'll use 2 screws at first, so we don't have them falling out. Keep the gasket lined up. We'll just stick this in. Of course, I got to remember which way this thing goes now, right? Pretty sure it goes this way. Okay, I think I got it good. Got it pulled up good and snug. Oh yeah. Yep. I've got a hose that slips on right in here. No big deal. I need my my pliers to get the clamp back on. That's okay. That's all back in place. We'll put our it's gonna go on like that. Like that takes a 12 as well. I'll just snug on that real quick. Okay, that's snug, and then we've got another one here. Looks like I kind of got this stuff all twisted around. That looks about right. Yep. Reattach this vacuum solenoid or sensor. There we go. Tell by looking at that, that's a little fella. Okay, we know that'll slide into place. And then we got our connectors here. Here's the blue one. That should just slide right on. Probably hear it click into place. There we go. That's in place. And then we got the green one here. That's going to line up just like that. That's clicked in place. Then our connectors will go back in like such. I just have to reposition the hose clamps. There's another one here. Another hose. I'll go ahead and start getting it in place. I'm sure it'll be real cooperative. There we go. Yep, that slid right on. That's good. And we'll just okay. It's got this plastic intake that's going to slide on. There we go. It's in place. And just scanning over everything because there is 11 different hoses and connections. Let's see if I missed anything. Yep, sure did. That needs to go back in. There we go. I got one right there. There we go. That's back in. So nice when you don't break those things taking them off. Then everything goes back together nice and neat and tidy. Coming over here real quick. Everything's connected here. I got my clamps on. I got one buried beneath here. It's hard to see. It's on. Okay, so hoses are in place. Everything's connected like it should be. Yep, I don't think there's anything left out of place except for the plastic engine cover, but we're going to leave that off for obvious reasons for the test drive. So I did notice the tach wasn't working, so I shut it off. I thought maybe if I restart it. That can't be good. Let's go out here. I'm sure I left something. Must have a ground or something. I don't know what I did. I'm just checking all my connectors. I know I got those in right. I did disconnect those. Anything over there, I can't imagine the electric throttle body would have a problem. And of course that's latched in. This is pushed in. Just come over here. These are the main things I disturbed over here. Let me just tug on these. That's in. That's in. That's in. Oops. Okay, that's not in. All right, I must not have clicked that in all the way for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, it's clicked in now. Now my fingers are greasy again. See if I can at least get it started. There we go. Okay, we got lift off. Get the grease off my fingers. All right, now let's take it for a spin. Okay. Looks like everything's running good. The only thing I got is that check engine light, since I ran it with that connector unplugged, so I'm probably going to have to hook up the code reader and erase that. Probably after a couple of start cycles that'll go away, not a huge deal. But it feels like it's running really good. We're just pulling out and giving a little pedal. I can tell instantly this thing is more responsive than it was before. The engine's running good. I don't want to hammer it too much until I get it warmed up and get a chance to burn all the WD-40 and oil off of those spark plugs. I know a bunch of it leaked down the hole when I was changing the plugs out. I can tell even at 55 if you just drop it down a gear, it pulls good. dump truck we just passed, there's another dump truck coming up here. That's all they do is dump trucks up here because all they're doing is building the heck out of this area. And I refer to those dump trucks as maystays because they may stay in their own lane, they may not. I'm just barely giving it pedal, it pulls up really nice. It had a little bit of a stumble before, it feels like it's gone. I think we're pretty much up to operating temperature. We got a nice little crest coming up here. We'll get rolling down this hill and we got a nice kind of a... Well, there's another Maystay. Right. Got a nice running start down this hill. We got to climb the next one. Let's just stand on it one time a little bit. Alright, look right up to 6 grand, 70 miles an hour, that's not too shabby. We got one more nice twisty here. This is a good one. Maxima does. The Camaro rallies it pretty nice. Let's see how this one does. Okay, we got a blind turn up here. Gotta watch out for traffic. Alright, we're good. So that boat pulls up this hill. That a lot better than it used to. Just panning in. It's dry, no leaks. Cooling fans will make a lot of noise. They got the air. Shut the air off, maybe that won't happen. Alright, it's got a butter smooth idle. You see the engine's not dancing around or anything. Alright, I think I accidentally got it fixed. Thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe. See you next time.